this.
Tell me. She's like ripping her clothes. Tell me about these triggers.
Dear Shandy. Welcome back to another Dear Shandy Bachelor in Paradise recap, listeners. Hello, Andy.
Hello.
How are you today?
I am great.
Yes, you now have arms under your arms.
It is so good.
What do you call those? Arms.
Armrests.
Armrests.
But I also have a back. I have a real chair.
Yeah, we switched things up around here for our listeners who can't see. Andy's throne of cushions just wasn't doing it for him. You should have said something sooner.
I was making passive aggressive remarks.
I don't speak passive aggressive. You just have to be aggressive.
That's true, you don't. Anyway, we do have some housekeeping to cover. Sharleen crushed opening night. Oh. Absolutely unbelievable. I was very proud.
I don't actually know if that's true, but thank you, husband. My husband's very biased.
The critics also agree.
No. I don't.
Critics agree.
Critics. No critics. Shall we get going?
Yeah, let's
recapping.
Do it.
I'm like flustered by the compliment.
Take it.
Okay, so picking up episode 4, we have some new intros in the Almost Paradise intro thing. Andy, you were offended by Tyler's because all he did was strike a pose and then look at the camera.
He really puts the nil in vanilla. I had a whole year to think about it. Mm-hmm. Come on.
Okay. So we pick up with Sam's bowels again. Oh my goodness, so much buildup for so little payoff. Do we even talk about this? So Sam wakes up, she goes for a walk on the beach, she talks to Aaron. I should mention, she talks to Aaron to the tune of Chopin.
Oh yeah, is that constipation music? I would think more like maybe Mahler. There needs to be some heaviness.
And this is mixed with action music for the doctor's arrival. And this culminates with Sam addressing the group. She basically says there has been no movement and she must go home. She hugs Aaron S. goodbye, and there seems to be some buildup to suggest he might, at the 11th hour, be like, but wait, I'm leaving with you. I like you and only you. I don't want to date anyone else. But that doesn't happen.
No. He's very comfortable not doing that.
It was a bit of a letdown because I actually really liked them as a couple.
I think he might be like a little turned off by the fact that there's so much poo associated with her.
I don't think so. He was pretty into helping her.
I mean, there comes a point, there's a breaking point though. I mean, I feel like she just looks like a anthropomorphized poo. Nailed it.
Okay, so you're saying that he sees her as a giant poo. Mr. Hanky. The Christmas poo.
The Christmas poo.
I hope that you're wrong about that. Just based on how Aaron S. ends up behaving in this episode, I feel like he might have done a deal with the devil or something. He acts out so crazy towards the end of this episode, and not in a way that I'm criticizing, by the way. I like Aaron S. I always have. I liked him on Charity Season. I've always thought that he's a straight shooter. But you know how this episode wraps. Wait, should I spoil? We're only at the beginning of the recap. Should I mention? Well, it wraps with a cliffhanger that suggests that maybe there's a lifeline for some guys there. I would bet a good deal of money that Aaron S. might be the one to be saved because of his actions in this episode.
Huh.
Am I thinking too hard about this?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So yeah, Sam just drives off into the distance and that's that. Okay, so.
I want to hear about this poo.
Well,
I mean, I need to know.
Yeah, you're invested.
I want to see it. I want it weighed. I want to see the weight, the measurement.
Okay, so Olivia and Pilot Peter are shown eating breakfast now. I've never really bought these two as a couple, if I'm honest. She says that he'll be getting her first rose, and I wrote, this feels like foreshadowing. I didn't even realize how right I was. But John Henry arrives now. John Henry.
Oh, so sweet.
Who seems to need a theme song or something. My goodness.
That is a man right there.
I haven't found someone this charming in quite a while in this franchise.
Oh, yeah.
He's nervous as hell and tells Jesse it takes him a while to open up. And when he opened his mouth, Andy, you said, that's a real country boy. John Henry descends on the group and the guys are shown seeming nervous about him, all but Tanner, who isn't concerned. He says, quote, Kat and I's relationship is super strong. John Henry and Kat talk. He tells Kat, I'm not going to connect with somebody until I get to know them. We actually laughed quite hard about this, but then we realized that it's kind of true in his case. Yeah. You know what it is? It struck me as sounding really silly because it sounds redundant. Only in this setting, where it does tend to be so superficial.
Yeah.
But John Henry ends up being not so superficial.
Right. You think that that's just one of those tropes, but he did that.
Yeah. He did not connect with somebody until he got to know them.
Yeah.
He tells Kat that he thinks Kylie's a smoke show, and Kat's like, oh, Kylie's shacked up. But, shoot your shot. I thought this was interesting.
Yeah.
I think Kat's...
She's always in the game.
I feel like Kat is a little competitive. Like, I think if you're friends with Kat in real life and you go out for girls' night, she's not cool with it if one of her friends gets hit on and she doesn't.
Yeah. I think it's not easy to be Kat's friend.
Okay. As we learn later with Jess, actually. So now John Henry and Kylie, he basically tells her that she's his number one. She's like, oh, that's so sweet. But the conversation's a little, Can I say that?
Yeah, it's
It's And then he speaks with Olivia. And my goodness, he brings Olivia to life, I've got to say. She brings him to life. She says she works in a hospital. She's going to PA school. Apparently, I'm really starved for little details like this because I wrote that down.
Yeah.
But it just struck me as a real getting to know you conversation.
Yeah, we should know these things.
Yeah, you would be like, oh, yeah, in real life, I work in a hospital. I'm going to school, yada, yada, yada.
Mm-hmm.
Not just I went on a date with so-and-so and then I went on a date with so-and-so. Anyway, they have a good relaxed chat. And ultimately he asks Olivia on the date, even though coming into it, Kylie was his, smoke show.
Yeah.
Olivia seems flattered, but says, yeah, but can I talk to Peter first? She's very proud of herself for doing this, it seems. But it does seem kind of pointless because in chatting with him, he says he wants her to stay. And she's like, Anyway, she did the thing that she felt wronged for not having been done to her.
Yeah, I mean, she's giving lip service.
Anyway, John Henry and Olivia go on this date, and going into it, he says he can't remember the last time he was on a date.
Wow.
Where did they get this guy?
So much welding.
So much welding.
So much underwater welding. That's all he does.
I have a lot of questions about underwater welding.
I mean, it sounds really badass.
It does.
I mean, just welding alone and underwater alone. Either one of those jobs is badass. And you put them both together. It's like Reese's badass.
It's a spa-themed date, and they disrobe, and she goes and sits next to him, and they break the bed. This was really cute. Sort of broke the ice. Yeah. Then they put face masks on each other and massage each other, and it's just hot. Shockingly hot.
Oh, yeah. I was uncomfortable.
You actually, Andy, you were a little annoyed, to quote you, by how good this date was.
Yeah, I was feeling a lot of feels, and not all of them were good.
How come?
Like there was real sexual tension there. Like I was actually uncomfortable with it. And I was also upset that I was feeling good about their connection because I kind of wanted to hate on Olivia a little bit.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing how with the right pairing, she could go from so unlikable to so likable. Yeah. Like this date single-handedly made me really like Olivia.
Agreed.
You're right. There was sexual tension. I think it might've been the first time I felt true sexual tension on this season. Yeah. That didn't feel just so formulaic, like, oh, the shooting star. What did you wish on that shooting star for? I wished for a kiss. Or what was the other one, the toast, where he's like, but I don't want to cheers. I want to do this. Like, it didn't need a line. They just had chemistry and the conversation
flowed. It was not contrived at all.
Yeah, and it went from playful to sexy to playful to sexy. Yeah. It wasn't just like, okay, we're sexy. That's what we are together.
Nothing was forced. Nothing. And all the reactions were real.
Yes. Oh, I'm into them.
Oh, I'm into it too.
Okay. To the point where you're annoyed.
I'm annoyed.
Back at the beach, the guys are playing football while Kylie and Mercedes rank them on hotness. I'm only pointing this out for consistency's sake. We don't need to waste our breath on how this would look if the genders were reversed. And now Aaron, B, and Eliza are shown getting along great. Brayden says he can see them getting married one day. So, of course, cue John, who apparently goes by John B now. John B and Mercedes talk. This is mainly about Will saying he's gotten used to this feeling. I think this was reused. Yeah. They used this clip again from last week. And John B and Eliza now talk. He says, do you know what this date card means? Which it had the word amour on it. And she said, amour means love. Do you think that he meant the word amour, or he meant, do you know what the date card means? Like, do you have an idea of what we will do?
I was hoping it was the second one, but yeah, I don't have high hopes that it was.
Why don't you have high hopes, Andy?
I I just feel like, Occam's razor?
Yes.
Occam's razor is like the simplest answer basically is
You've
usually the
spoken
right
of
one.
Occam's razor.
Yeah,
many
I'm a
times.
big fan. It's my favorite razor. And I've said that before too. I think that, he just didn't know what Amor meant. And I'm not sure how that's possible because it's not like you could criticize someone like, they didn't have a proper education or something, or they just weren't brought up in a certain cultural situation. But Amor, come on. When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore. Because that's Italian.
I feel like you just realized it at the end.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that song in so long. When I was a kid, I loved that song.
It's a great song. How can you not like that song?
I just thought it was so great. I sang it at the top of my lungs.
Yeah, you
belting
want
it.
to sing. You have to sing that. She can't sing, when the moon hits your eye like a big... That's just creepy.
Yeah. So John B asks Eliza on this date. She says yes, but she needs to talk to AB first. So this totally dispels my theory last week that they weren't allowed to talk to people before going off on their date. Because both Olivia and Eliza do that here. And now Aaron B, we have to say, does everything right.
Oh, yeah.
Aaron B in general does everything right.
Yeah, he knows what to do. He's read the playbook.
Yeah, I just maintain that Aaron B, he's lacking a flavor that I know he has in him. And you said it, I think, in our first recap for this season. I think you're right. We will never see that Aaron B on camera.
Aaron B is giving us TV Aaron B.
Yeah. Well, he does this right as well. It would seem he did his research. He must have watched Bachelor in Paradise season 8 because he does exactly what Rodney didn't do last season, which is that he tells her that he doesn't want her to go on the date at all.
Good man.
Yeah.
Fight for your woman.
And somehow this is still not the right answer because Eliza says she's trying to grow from last year. She doesn't want to be afraid of challenges. I wrote, She goes on the date.
Yeah.
Everyone is shook by this because they think that they're such a strong couple. And Tyler says that dating is not tennis.
And then he proceeds to describe how tennis is played.
So what was his point was that it's not just like one person hits the ball, then another person hits the ball?
Yeah, I guess you got to hit it back to the other person. You hit it back and forth. It's hitting the ball back and forth in life.
Okay, so in the evening, Aaron S. says the beach is raining dudes. It's El Nino of dudes. Oh, quotable
Nice.
Aaron S.
Oh, yeah.
And now Aaron B in his ITM says that he has stronger feelings for Eliza than he realized. And now we need a real moment for this, what he says in this ITM. He says, you see this fig jam, and you're like, I've never seen that before. I want that on my charcuterie board. I want a charcuterie board until I drink wine. I don't want anyone else to know about that charcuterie board, but that's just how it is.
Okay, so I got a couple of takeaways from this.
Oh, I'm impressed because I'm really struggling.
Yeah. So number one, he needs a lot of work on his analogy game.
Who needs more work, him or Tyler?
I think in some ways he does.
He was talking about the charcuterie board like maybe she was the charcuterie board, but then he started with the fig jam. So I'm like, is Eliza the fig jam or is she the charcuterie board?
I have no idea.
I'm guessing he's like, oh, Eliza's the special find. I don't want anyone else to know about her. But what part of the charcuterie board is she? Like, how does the charcuterie board tie into what he's trying to say?
Yeah, but also, what's the deal with the wine?
I know the wine.
Where does the wine come in?
The wine part throws me off the most. I want a charcuterie board until I drink wine. We listened to this 4 times. It's possible we still got it wrong.
But you know what I think happened? I think he just loves charcuterie. I honestly think he bit off more than he could chew on this analogy.
Yeah. It does feel that way.
Yeah,
or
he
maybe
lost
he
his
was
way.
drunk. Isn't that funny to think that might work in life? Like he could just wrap that with, but that's just how it is.
You
And
can
people
wrap
would-
anything with that's just how it is. I'm going to wrap this conversation with that's just how it is. All right. See you later. Squarespace, where a beautiful website is made. Nice.
And this might be the first time ever, Andy, that we are building on a jingle.
It's a repeat jingle. I think this jingle is good enough that it sticks.
Yeah.
I
This
want
one's a keeper.
Squarespace to take notes.
Yes, and to take notes from our ad for them. Well, this episode is sponsored by Squarespace. We hope they appreciate the harmonized jingle.
Yeah.
We're big Squarespace fans here at Dear Shandy because Squarespace has been in our family for years, long before Dear Shandy ever began.
You actually introduced me to Squarespace.
Yes. And I was introduced to Squarespace before I met you via Subway advertising.
Ooh,
Yeah.
good old Subway advertising.
Yeah, that's old school.
You know, you forget how good that is. A good old-fashioned Subway ad, can't beat it.
It works.
You have to look at it.
Yeah, and in my case, it changed my life, honestly. I don't know if I would have stuck with my websites the way that I have if it weren't for Squarespace, because they make it so easy. Basically, they bridge the gap between your regular layman who doesn't know how to code HTML or CSS or isn't a designer, and the ability to have a really gorgeous website that properly represents whatever you're doing in the world. Let's be honest, we all need a website.
It's like not having a business card in the old days.
Yeah, now it's like, where can I find you? What's your website? So that I can see your wares. What do you have on display? Especially, I mean, this depends on what you are advertising, but let's say you have a restaurant. Your restaurant needs a website.
Think about this, okay? Someone told you, oh, you should try this restaurant. It's really great. And you're like, oh, let me check it out. You go to the web and it's like late 90s.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like hodgepodge.
Hodgepodge, like all the fonts are weird. You got a lot of Comic Sans. It's a mess.
Oh, what a disaster.
Then you'd be like, I don't think I can do this. Just from the website.
100%. So Squarespace are famous for their gorgeous templates, which are really plug and play. You can first filter down by your category. So if you are a restaurant owner, then you could click that and then they'll show you the best templates for you. And then you can plug in your content, your photos, your information to really make it bespoke to you and your business. And then from there, their features are just out of control. They have a feature for everything. They have mailing lists. They have member areas. They have booking through the site. You can do e-commerce. You can sell product there. You can even do payment plans on what you sell. It's insane. They have everything covered.
So don't scare away your customers with a late 90s looking website.
Head to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Shandy for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.
Again, that's squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Shandy for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.
Okay, so John B. and Eliza go on their date, but honestly, this whole date is mainly still about Aaron B. And eventually we learn that she's, I think, just into Aaron B.
Yeah.
I don't really know why she went on this date. I think that she likes to...
She wanted to stir the pot. She wanted to make Aaron B squirm. She wanted to see what he was made of. Did he really want to die for her?
Eliza really likes being wanted.
She does. She loves it.
Well, we saw that last season. Yeah. I don't think she was ever into Rodney, honestly.
No.
But I think she still wanted to be wanted by him.
Absolutely. One way or another, she wants guys to get on their knees for her. And that's fine. That's her thing.
No.
Whatever works.
I know some people like that. And you know what? It doesn't not work for them. No. John B. says that he can feel the amour in the air, as they say in French. She says she's nervous, she's blushing, and this pretty much culminates with him asking to kiss her, and they make out, they dance, blah, 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 mariachi band, the usual.
Yeah, the French mariachi band.
And now, back on the beach, we learn, this is an interesting detail, Pilot Peter has not kissed Olivia yet.
Ooh.
That's shocking.
He's late.
Olivia and John Henry return, and now she chats with Pilot Peter. He asks how she's feeling, and she struggles to answer him. I will say I like Olivia in some ways on the show. I think she's a great commentator. She's good at narrating situations, but I do think that she has been a little, how can I word this? Holier than thou.
Oh, yeah.
When it comes to other people ditching people to be with people they're more interested in. And it was a little, how can I word this? Enjoyable to watch her squirm in this situation.
Yes.
Meanwhile, at the bar, John Henry is saying, I gave her a facial, she gave me a facial.
Everybody likes a good facial.
And now Olivia chats with John Henry where she reports on that conversation. And then she talks to Peter again. And now he goes in for that kiss, finally. And she pauses. He's like this close. And she's like, is now the right moment?
Ooh.
That said, the kiss didn't look that bad.
Yeah, that was weird.
I will say Pilot Peter gives better kiss than I expected Pilot Peter to give.
He landed that plane well.
And now we have a hilarious conversation between Kylie and Avon. This was almost a throwaway, but I just had to mention it because it ties in how we felt about their date a couple of episodes ago.
Oh, yeah.
First of all, there's not a lot of eye contact considering the conversation they're having, which is about...
They're basically almost going to get married.
Yeah, they're talking about how they really like how things are going. Yeah. They hope to see where things go and blah, blah. They both are invested in this. It's so ambiguous what they're saying.
Yeah.
It's just a
I think
general.
they just like looking at each other.
Yeah, because when they're done, they're like, okay, like did it. And then they're like, okay, make out again.
Yeah, we got that talking out of the way.
Yeah. Okay, Wells calls everyone over to introduce the Paradise Truth Box, which he says is completely anonymous. Do we have thoughts on this?
I feel like the truth box is, there's a lot of mistruth in the truth box. It's a lie box. It's an untruth box.
Oh, that's an interesting point. So what you're saying is people who have actual truths to share that might actually be true are not as likely to write things to put in there as people who are, say, more producer pets like an Aaron S.
Yeah.
I think like a lot of the ones about Kat were written by Aaron S., for example.
Yeah. Or
I don't
production.
think Braden did them.
Or production. I think they wanted to read the ones they wanted to read.
Okay.
And I think they planted them. Whether they planted the ones that were written by the cast or they actually wrote them themselves, one way or another, they wanted to get those truths out.
Yeah.
And they wanted to have a few light ones, which were probably written by the actual cast.
Yeah.
And then they wanted to get those meteor ones out about Kat. And I honestly wouldn't be remotely surprised if production wrote those and just dumped them in there.
I think it's more likely that they have a couple of key people who they can rely on to do things, to do their bidding.
Yeah.
The pets.
Sure.
The people who, like Olivia's a great example. Olivia got to stay around through that last rose ceremony. She ended up skirting by, but she gave great drama. I mean, great drama, but she gave drama and good ITM commentary. She is a high value contestant, even though she's not really a love interest, or at that time she wasn't. So I think it would be easy for producers to just be like, Aaron S. and Olivia,
Sure.
go write this.
Go write this stuff.
Yeah. And they're like, okay.
The bottom line is, one way or another, they're going to get that out about Kat. That's what they wanted, and they got it.
So you think Truth Box is a misnomer?
I do. Does it really matter?
It doesn't matter. It's
Doesn't
just
matter.
such a weak trick. I will say I hated it slightly less than the bonfire.
Well, that's the thing. It was just another attempt to stir the pot in
That's
an
so
artificial
obvious,
way.
yeah.
And obvious. It's just a little insulting to our intelligence. That's all. And I also think it was rehashing old news. Like, we already know that Kat broke the law on the beach. Why do we need to go over that again?
It's a good point. I think producers were like, I think we can squeeze a little bit more out of that.
Yeah, we didn't get enough out of that.
Yeah, they wanted to wring it for every last drop.
And in the end, nothing's going to come of that. That whole truth segment is just like, ganging up on Kat, which maybe she deserved or not. Who cares? And in the end, nothing's going to change.
I think they knew that Kat had more to give. I feel like the powers that be obviously know that Kat is not the most, how can I word this? I'm really struggling to word things today. Self-aware person.
Yeah. Yes.
And they're like, sweet.
Yeah. They wanted to get that explosion from her, and they got it.
Oh, yeah. So we learn now that Sean still has eyes for Jess. In his ITM, he sings a Taylor Swift-inspired song about his feelings for her. And he asks to speak with her. This line even, he says that she's someone he thinks can mesh into his life outside of this. That line doesn't do it for me. Like, who is she going to choose? The guy who notices the cute thing she does with her mouth before she smiles? Yeah. Or the guy who's like, I think you could mesh into my life outside of this.
Yeah, you could mesh into my life. Even that.
It's about him.
It's such a bland,
it's not
generic
a compliment
statement. But on top of that, it's like, you could fit into my life.
Yeah, lucky you.
Yeah.
Like, how about having a normal conversation, just getting to know her?
Yeah.
This was a non-compliment. Like, what is she supposed to say to that? Like, gee, okay, thanks. Like, I'm glad I can mesh into your life. So Jess, how she handles this is pretty amazing. She says she loves him like a friend. She thinks he's awesome. She says she cares and doesn't want to string him along. And he says, well, are you all in on Blake? And she says, we're both open. And he's like, so you're open to exploring things, just not with me. And she says, I don't know if it would get to that point. She handles this very well.
I love how she throws in an I love you in there.
I love you like a friend.
Yeah. It's like, no,
panicked.
back away.
He handles this well enough. Meanwhile, Braden is watching this not happy.
Yeah.
Because it turns out, we didn't really get to see this, But it would seem that he has forged quite a friendship with Rachel. A friendship that might supersede his friendship with Sean. And he's talking to Blake, and Blake's lack of concern over this whole situation is hysterical.
That's amazing.
He says he's going after what he wants, but I don't think he's going to have success there. Brayden goes and interrupts Rachel and Tyler on a daybed. I have to point this out. She was having a conversation with Tyler. Someone in the comments last week said that they think that they're just platonic friends.
They're friends, yeah.
And I think they're right.
Yeah, 100%.
It was cute. I would have liked to have seen more of just...
I like them as friends.
I'm interested in friendship conversations.
Yeah.
The powers that be seem to think what we want are like truth box moments, but...
You know, to be honest, I think we'd get to see Rachel more if we saw friendship conversations.
Such a good point. Rachel has a lot of friends on this beach.
Yeah.
Brayden goes up to Rachel and asks how strong her connection with Sean is. She says that she's been so kind to everyone, including himself. And then he reveals that Sean is trying to get with Jess and is saying that Rachel is so into him and he's just going along with it. He says she deserves better. And what's funny is she has a huge reaction, not to the part that you would think she would. Like, I would think that she would have a huge reaction to Sean trying to get with Jess.
Oh, yeah.
But instead, what she's super bothered by is the idea that Sean's going around being like, Rachel's super into me.
How amazing is that? It's such a good point.
Yeah, she's not actually that into Sean, and that's what she's so upset about.
She doesn't care about Sean at all.
No.
She just wants to make sure that everyone doesn't know that she's really into Sean.
She's not that into him.
She wants to make sure people know that.
Yeah.
She's worried about that.
It's just funny how he's like, oh, Sean is talking to Jess. Like he's into Jess. And she's like, yeah. And then he's like, and he's been saying that you're really into him and he's going along with it. And she's like,
oh yeah. What?
Like her breath is taken away by that.
That's so fascinating.
Yes.
We learned so much about her. Well, first of all, we learned that this relationship was most likely a sham.
100%.
Yeah.
I said last week that I couldn't even picture them kissing.
Yeah. This relationship reminded me of when I was like 10. It's like sleepaway camp. I'd like hold hands with a girl for 5 seconds and tell her my name. Yeah. And tell everybody at camp I'm dating her.
Yeah.
And she would agree. She'd be like, yeah, we're totally dating. Totally. We're going steady.
Yeah. My boyfriend, when I was in grade 5, it was a little like that.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't do anything.
At recess, he was like, will you be my girlfriend? And I was like, yeah, okay.
And that was the only thing he's ever said to you. Yeah, that's his whole beginning and end game. No stakes, no obligation, no responsibility, no stress. I was just like, I have a girlfriend.
You know, oh my God. I'm realizing that paradise is that.
Paradise is obviously that.
It's to be 10, 11 years old.
Yes.
You don't necessarily need... Look, Pilot Peter and Olivia never even kissed. All you need is to have an arrangement with someone where you're dating.
Oh, yeah.
And then you just give each other roses.
It's an immersive... It's not VR, it's R. It's an immersive R experience of going back to early high school or late elementary school.
And like you said, no responsibility.
None. Zero.
They don't need to pay their bills. Yeah.
You're a child. You're fed. You can eat everything you want. You can cry, make a temper tantrum, and they like it.
Oh, they
like it.
Yeah, you're rewarded for it.
You're a little baby. And then when you have a girlfriend, all you have to do is just go. I mean, in this case, you kiss. Okay, fine.
Maybe.
It's a lame
Not even.
kiss. It's barely a kiss.
I don't think Sean
you don't
and
even
Rachel
have to kiss.
kissed.
Did they? Have we even seen? I think we may have seen a kiss.
It's possible we've seen one, and maybe I erased it from my memory. I just can't even picture it.
Yeah, even if we did, it was so passionless that it doesn't count.
Yes.
It was like the same as if he kissed her elbow.
Yes.
Or they bumped fists.
Yes.
So the juvenile nature of it all, like you're going back to that feeling of having like these stupid love triangles.
Yes.
Meaningless, pointless
And it's
garbage.
all just what everyone's saying to each other.
Yeah.
I heard that so-and-so and so. Is it true that you're dating Adam?
Yeah. You get to go back to being the mean girl you used to be, or the jock you used to be, or the hopeless romantic kid who like just wanted to kiss that girl on the cheerleader squad.
Well, you know who handles this like someone on a cheerleader squad is Rachel.
Oh, God.
She sees red. Can I say I missed this?
Yeah.
I mean, Rachel, when she sees red, is good TV.
You know what? Rachel lights up in anger. I don't
she
want...
She comes to life.
Can I say something? This is not a characteristic I want in my pilot. Just saying.
It's so funny. Just last week, you were saying Rachel's kind of getting a raw deal this season. Like she gets no
just wasn't
airtime.
there.
Yeah. She's just sort of an afterthought. But let me tell you, when she lights up. And it's usually with anger.
Yeah. She loves anger. I think she likes anger.
This was very reminiscent of her time as Bachelorette, in my opinion. So she immediately makes a beeline for Sean. So there's no thinking of how Brayden has just stuck his neck out for her in telling her this. She basically leaves him in her dust to go confront Sean about this. She's like, I heard that you said that I'm so into you. Like, how dare you?
I didn't say that. I'm not into you at all.
And he says that after the conversation he had with Jez, he does want to keep talking to her.
Yeah, I couldn't get a reservation at this other restaurant, so we're eating at Denny's. Get on that beam for a restful night's sleep. Beam dream powder.
I liked your soft volume for that, Andy.
Yeah, I didn't want to wake them up.
Yeah.
Maybe they had drank some beam.
Dream powder, indeed, which I'm completely obsessed with. This is my latest thing, my latest ritual, which basically gives you an excuse, just saying, to drink hot cocoa before bed.
You would not
think
nice? Of hot cocoa as being something that puts you to sleep, but it most certainly does.
Oh, yes, because Beam Dream Powder is carefully formulated to basically support your sleep at every stage. And it's not like you fall asleep and you're in the same stage of sleep the whole time. There's the onset, the transition, deep sleep, and then the REM or REM sleep. So it's like covering, it's a 360-degree service. There's some stuff you could take out there to help you sleep, but it leaves you feeling groggy. I love that you never wake feeling groggy with Beam. It tastes delicious. This is the mint chip flavor. You got the cinnamon cocoa over there. Yeah. It's just nice. It's changed my night routine and I have noticed a difference. And trust me, I am the poor sleeper in this household.
Yeah, and you are extremely discerning about your sleep and you do turn down a lot of sponsors.
Yes.
So when I saw Beam come across, I was like, there's no way they're surviving that gauntlet. Yeah, you're like the Roman emperor at the Colosseum.
Doing what?
Thumbs up.
So today, our Shandies get a special discount on Beam's Dream Powder, which is their best-selling healthy hot cocoa with no added sugar.
Now available in delicious flavors like sea salt caramel, cinnamon cocoa, and chocolate peanut butter.
Better sleep has never tasted better, and a recent clinical study revealed Dream helped 93% of users wake up feeling more refreshed.
And 93% reported that Dream helped them get a more restful night's sleep.
So if you want to try Beam's best-selling Dream Powder, get up to 40% off for a limited time when you go to shopbeam.com/Shandy and enter promo code Shandy at checkout.
That's ShopBeam, shopbeam.com/Shandy, and use code Shandy for up to 40% off.
Eliza and John B return now. Aaron B is squirming. She immediately goes up to Aaron B and she's like, do you want to talk? Ding. There's a sparkle in her teeth.
She loves the power.
Yeah, she does love the power.
She loves it.
She asks about his day first to make sure that he was having a hard time. And he says,
and this is not what you do. See, this is the move. This is where I was upset.
This is where she gave it away.
She showed her true colors.
Okay.
If it was you, like I always put myself in the shoes of like, you're the person sitting on the beach waiting for me. And I go on some date and I come back.
Yeah.
I'm gonna grab you and be like, I'm not into it. Like we're good. It's not happening.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be like, so
how
do anything interesting today? Read any good books? Have any good appetizers? Any good shrimp? Garlic shrimp? Yeah, like just tell him. Yeah. Tell him you're into him. That's mind games.
No, it's a good point because she's the one that left the mundanity to go do something new. And yet she comes back and is like, how was your day?
Yeah, how was your day?
Let's
chat about your day for a while in a very metered and cold manner.
He says that some triggers came back up for him and he thought about her the whole time.
She's like, tell me more about these triggers.
She loves this.
Tell me. She's like ripping her clothes. Tell me about these triggers.
She says she's sorry about the triggers and she was still thinking of him and she was excited to see him. And Aaron B in his ITM says he's, quote, pretty elated. At least he used the word elated.
That's true. I like that word.
It is a good word.
Elated.
You know what I always think of is, I learned it from Aladdin. When Jafar closes the door and he's like, ecstatic.
No, ecstatic.
Yeah. When I was a little girl, that's when I learned the word ecstatic. And I was like, wow, that's funny.
Ecstatic.
When I learned what ecstatic meant and his delivery of it and the humor in that,
Right,
it like
the
taught me
sarcasm.
something.
Yeah,
It taught
being
me something at a
facetious.
very young age.
Right. You learn that ecstatic could be used when you're not ecstatic.
So now Sean confronts Brayden. He thinks that Brayden is a backstabber for reporting to Rachel that he was talking to Jess.
Yeah.
He says he broke the bro code. Andy, you're the bro in the room. Do you think he broke the bro code?
I got to be totally honest. I think Brayden broke the bro code.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I love Brayden.
Yeah.
But, I tell it like it is. He broke the bro code. But you have to understand the bro code only counts if it's actually your bro.
Yeah.
And I think Brayden was more Sean's bro in Sean's eyes than Sean was Brayden's bro in Brayden's eyes.
100%. And I think Sean is very into Sean.
Yeah. And also he's close with Rachel. So he's got some allegiances there. He's built a bond with Rachel, correct?
Yeah.
So he's got a little allegiance. And let's be honest, Sean was a total dick to Brayden for a long time.
Yeah.
And just because Sean buried the hatchet
On his
doesn't
end.
necessarily make him bro.
Yeah.
Like a lot of bros think that you're now bros because you had a huge fight and now you're friends. I don't buy that. I think sometimes the reason you had that big fight is because you shouldn't be friends in the first place. Okay. It doesn't make you bros.
Okay. But Brayden doesn't fight back. I mean, he's like, I hear you, man. I'm sorry. It wasn't my intention.
He knew he did something wrong.
Yeah.
That's another thing about Brayden I love. He knew he was wrong. He's like, I know, like two rights don't make a wrong. I did the wrong thing. Like I broke the bro code in your eyes. I get it.
Do you say two rights don't make a wrong?
I did.
Sean in his ITM heading into the rose ceremony says that evening will be the red wedding from Game of Thrones. It'll be a bloodbath, he says. I got to tell you, that episode, I had heard about red wedding this, red wedding that before years. We watched Game of Thrones really late. And I had heard the term red wedding thrown around. And then when I saw that episode, it still just took my breath away. Anyway, that's what this rose ceremony will be like.
Exactly.
And now it's the rose ceremony cocktail party. Jessie has an update on Sam. She has not pooped yet.
Oh.
I'm sure she loved having that reported to everyone.
Yeah.
And Wells now, I guess there's no winning.
No.
Wells gathers everyone around and reads some truth box entries to start the night off. And they're all stupid, including raise your hand if you're uncircumcised. Oh my God. Grade 5. And then John's like, hey, me.
He's really proud.
And Aaron S., I liked this moment of Aaron S. I mean, he just goes off the rails. He says that since Sam left, he has nothing to lose, pretty much. He knows he's going home, and so he's just going to cause a shitstorm, basically. And so he takes the truth box and smashes it open, and then he has the honors of reading. Do you think that they knew he was going to do this?
I think this whole truth box thing was just from the beginning set up. The whole thing was totally staged.
I'm going to say something crazy and say that I think that Aaron S. was like, this is stupid, but yeah, I'm going to break it up. What are you going to do about it? It's like he's the grade 5er who knows that he's in grade 5 and can get away with anything.
Huh.
What are they going to do about it? They're going to love it. They're only going to like him more.
I think that's equally possible.
Yes.
And this follows from what I said about him. I think the guy throws down in bars a lot. Maybe he just throws down truth boxes. I don't know.
So some truths are that Kat played Brayden. Tanner should watch out for Kat. I don't think Kat is looking out for Jess like she thinks. It's all very anti-Kat. And one is Brayden and Rachel should make out. And then Brayden's like, Rachel, can I pull you? And then they go to a daybed and start making out.
What's more 12-year-old summer camp than this?
Oh, it's so true.
Like you and her, you guys should make out. And you're like, oh, okay. And like silently walk to a corner and make out and come back like we made out.
This whole episode.
This is all this is. This is like reverting back to your 12-year-old self.
Yes.
Everybody.
Rachel says that Brayden's the best kisser on the beach. Andy, you said, I don't love this pairing. What don't you love about it? It feels forced. How do you really feel, Andy? Okay.
I'm very protective of Brayden.
It does sort of feel like he was just convenient for her?
I just don't see this match. I think it's forced, and I really, when it comes down to it, I don't know if Rachel really appreciates what Brayden has to offer. Is that wrong? Is it wrong for me to say that?
I can picture Brayden being more loyal than other people, and her, that really resonating with her, and them just sort of lasting a while. But I agree. I just don't really know if I buy. I think that Brayden needs someone just, like you said, someone who sees the weirdness in him, the quirkiness in him, who would never have gone for Sean.
Yeah.
But then again, I don't know if she ever went for Sean, because she was very offended when anyone suggested that she liked him.
It's very confusing. Did she go for Sean, or did she go for the opposite of Sean?
So Kat and Tanner now talk. Tanner reveals that Brayden told him to be careful. And Kat is very perturbed by this, of course. Tanner does seem to be a little like backpedaling a little bit out of there. And now Kat confronts Aaron S. She's defending herself against Brayden. He's like, look, what do you want me to say? I'm Brayden's best friend. What would you have done differently? And she says that she doesn't have to answer to him, which is actually kind of true. But she's not great at handling these situations and coming out on top.
No.
As she storms off, he says, you've confirmed everything I thought about you.
I mean,
Not a great look on Kat, because this is now her screaming in her ITM about how Aaron S. needs therapy. And how she's not surprised that he's single at 33.
Says the person screaming so loud in an ITM that everyone on the beach can hear her.
Yeah. Also, isn't that a little passe?
It's a little passe.
You need therapy.
Well,
it's an insult.
To make it like it's derogatory, yeah.
And also being single at 33. That's why you're single at 33. It's like these two lines could be from 10 years ago.
Yeah, he's about to die. He's got 1 year left of life and he's still single. I'll tell you something. Kat, I was a fan
until
on Zach's season. And I'm not saying that she can't be redeemed, but I really feel like Kat is a mean girl that I did not think she was.
I think that Kat has being kind of quirky and unexpected down.
Yeah.
I think that she plays a role of being kind of like, oh, I'm into the earrings, I'm into this, and like I like beige. She's just sort of like a little off the beaten path, and you're like, wow, you look like that, and you're so quirky and weird, and it's so unexpected. Right. But she really, whenever anything doesn't go her way, let's say Jess did to her what she did to Jess, meaning Tanner comes in, Tanner's Jess's first choice.
She'd lose it.
And then Jess was like, yep, going on that date, and doesn't talk to her about it, nothing. The only reason we haven't heard more about that is because Jess has backed off. She's not addressing it.
No.
I just don't picture Kat taking it very well.
No, definitely not.
Like I said, I think the powers that be are like, there's more.
Absolutely,
more liquid out
there was
of
a few drops.
A few more drops. Okay, John B. and Eliza now. He says that she ticks off so many boxes, it's scary. And she does her Eliza giggle. Yeah. She's like, and she giggles her way out of that and then goes and makes out with Aaron B. Yeah. I don't think she was ever into John B.
No. Not at all. She just wanted to go on the date. She wanted to make Aaron jealous and to experience a date on Paradise. Another date.
I like Eliza when Eliza's not in this sort of situation. But I think that, she acted like she was so terrified of being in any kind of three-way, like that was so traumatic for her. But I actually think that she kind of likes it. Can I say that?
She likes it. We've already said that.
Oh, we did?
Yeah.
No, all I'm saying is that last week she was like, oh, I don't want to be associated. You kissed Mercedes, and she starts crying. It's not okay when she's one of two women, but I think that it's okay when the guy she's interested in is one of two men.
100%.
That's all I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
I like her though.
Yeah, I like her too.
I think it's very human in a way. It seems a little beneath her. I think that Eliza is smarter and cooler than to need this, personally. Okay, moving on to Sean talking to Aaron S. This is basically them being like, well, we're going home tonight. And Sean prays to the Paradise gods. And like I said, I feel like Aaron S. has a very good chance of staying because of this.
Oh, Aaron S., but not Sean.
I think Aaron S. delivers more than Sean. And now credits Jess chasing after a French bulldog who stole her shoe. This was very cute.
As a matter of fact, sorry to go back. I think that the reason that he didn't go home with Pooh Girl, what's her name? Sam. Sorry, I really legitimately forgot. I can only think of Charlie. She's like that Pooh, the perfect shape with the little seam in the middle. Okay. I think that he stuck around because he was told that someone else is coming for you.
Oh, You think he's getting the special treatment?
Oh yeah, they're like, don't leave with Sam. She's got serious poop problems.
Oh,
You
that
don't
would
wanna
be
deal with
like
that.
a Michael A. sticking around after Sierra left
Danielle.
because Danielle's
Yeah.
coming. Okay, interesting. Well, we'll see if we're right about that.
Yeah.
Now the credits, Jess is chasing after a French bulldog who stole her shoe. This was cute.
Yeah, and actually, I believe it. I believe this is how it went down. That French bulldog wasn't playing games. He knew how to steal a shoe.
That dog was a little asshole.
Oh yeah,
a cute
total
asshole.
dick.
Yeah. Okay, Andy, it's time for your A game. Who is your winner?
I got to go with the welder, John Henry.
Oh yeah, John Henry.
I mean, he's
like from a different time. I'm like, how did you find him? Like, he's so perfect. I want to see more of him because he's just so delectable and so charming and so pure. But at the same time, I don't want him involved at all in this franchise because I don't want him to change.
I want him to have like a hidden camera spinoff that he doesn't know. He doesn't know it's happening.
It's like Truman
He
Show.
gets paid afterwards. I feel like with John Henry, like if I was in a bad situation, I wanted John Henry with me.
Oh,
Like he's just going to protect.
100%. That guy knows how to get shit done.
And no panic.
Okay, finally, Andy, who would we go for?
I'm sticking with Jess.
I totally agree with that. I think Jess is the best.
To me, it's no contest.
Yeah, Jess is the girl I said last week I would want to be friends with. I still feel that way. As much as I adore John Henry, he is not who I would go for. I would stick with Blake Moynes.
Wow, that is an endorsement of Blake Moynes.
Well,
like I almost would go for John Henry.
You know, it's just like John Henry, I appreciate. Like I can acknowledge how special and cool he is, but he's not who I personally would go for.
There might not be enough quirk there.
I actually think he's plenty quirky. It's just that I like an edge that I think Blake has. Like the remark Blake said when he was like, yeah, Sean's trying to make something happen over there, but like, I don't think he's going to have much success. He's talking about another guy going after his girl. That shows such confidence and such restraint in insulting Sean. Like, I just think Blake he's still it.
I totally respect that. Yeah. But let me just give you a scenario. You're being held hostage by a crazed killer. One person's coming to rescue you, John Henry or Blake Moynes.
Oh man, that's tough because I think that they would both be very good, but I would go Blake.
Wow.
I think Blake can, like, I think he's cool under pressure. Although John Henry, underwater welding, you know, what a good problem to have.
What if you're being held hostage underwater?
Okay, in that case, John Henry.
All right.
If you enjoyed what you heard today, you know what we will ask of you, and that is to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, follow us on Instagram and
TikTok,
leave us Apple and
Spotify
podcast ratings and reviews, tell your friends, and generally do all the things you would do to support a podcast you enjoy. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Dear Shandy. Bye-bye. Dear Shandy.